Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pep Talks. And what a beautiful, beautiful day it is in Los Angeles today. We have a guest today. Me and Steve Lally have a guest, comedian and writer. He's written for Rodney Dangerfield, which I can't wait to talk to him about. Please welcome Howard Berger.
Hey, how you doing there?
How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm great.
Yeah.
Nice and wet out here.
Yes, that's what I love. Like, I love when LA is wet, really wet, because it's always so starkly, horribly sunny. And I never realized how bad the sun really is. You know what I mean? Like that stark white light that just every day hammers you into a submission. You know what I mean? It hammers you into like, all right, enough. Like, in other words, it just is so white all the time out here that you want some variation. So when clouds and rain come, you're like, oh, isn't that true?
Oh, you get the use your umbrella. You finally get to use it once a year. And I get the one with the spikes. The ones that don't work when you open it up and then just spikes.
Yes.
I used
the
to
really cheap shit ones?
Yeah. Do you remember in the days in New York?
Howard you're from New York?
Originally from Toronto, but
right.
I lived in New York.
We have a Canadian here.
And they would sell the umbrellas on the street in New York, and it depended on how much rain it was. That's how the price was.
That's right.
If it was like really heavy rain, it would be $10.
That's
if it was
right.
Sprinkles $1.50.
All these guys popped up out of nowhere with really cheap shit umbrellas, and that is hilarious. I remember that if it was just sprinkling, they'd be $5.
And if it was a hailstorm, it was like $25. And the great thing is they're these, they're really bad umbrellas, and they'd be like the spikes. You'd open it up. But we used it on the subway against muggers. It was fantastic. So you could just
they became weapons.
Yeah,
they became weapons.
That's what you were paying for. That's really what. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not in LA, this is not rain. What we're getting today is
true.
It's like a beautiful, misty, overcast day.
It's like a
cold.
Yes album cover. Do you remember the band Yes?
Oh yeah.
In and around the lake.
Jeez.
Mountains come out of the sky, and they stand now. Do.
And
Yes.
we planned to do that because, Eddie, we needed some singing. We haven't had singing on the show in a while, and I wanted to hear that.
We haven't, but yeah, that is a funny memory about New York. Did you live in New York, Steve?
No, I only visited New York once before I moved to L.A., and I was there in the summer, and I took the subway, and I would blow my nose after going in the subway, and it was charcoal black.
Was it really?
Yeah, and I went, I think I'm going to move to L.A. But also, I had to bark at people on the street to get them to come see my shows. I had to pay a guy
in New York.
Yeah, I had to pay a guy $20 for him to come to stand up New York to see me do. I go, you know what? I'm not going to live through the winter here. I'm going to move to L.A. That was it. That was sealed.
Maybe that's why we have so many people here. Now, I did not give a shit about the weather in New York. I liked it more or less. I've never liked the heat, so I made a mistake coming here. But it was just the way to go for me. Like, my career just led me here. And LA is intoxicating when you first come here, is it not? Like, it's intoxicating.
Especially Hollywood. The energy in Hollywood.
No, it's not the energy.
What is it?
It's the wet. At first, the weather's like amazing.
Yeah, every day it's nice. It's just,
Oh, so are you on the west side, Howard?
in the middle near the Beverly Center. Just in the middle.
That's near the way. I love the Beverly Center. And the Beverly Center, for those of you who aren't from here, is just it's a big mall, and
you didn't hear what happened with the Beverly Center. They got rid of the food court.
What?
They no longer have the food court, so I went into the Beverly Center to get something to eat, and I spent 4 days looking for the food court. And they said, sir, they got rid of the food court and they just put more like fancy restaurants. And I was going, and I was going, where's it? And I went to the 8th floor, 7th, 6th. I went to the garage. I was looking, and they got rid of. I mean,
that I'm a fan of food courts.
No, but
but what that's about is like they're saying fuck you to the average schmuck who doesn't have money, and like we instead of having available cuisine that you will will go out of your system in a minute and a half. We now you have to go into a restaurant and spend money, baby.
Well, now there's no diner. Before I came to this show, I went to this diner. I found there's a diner, Lancers. It's very good. And
Lancers, I know that. Where is that?
It's just on Victory and there's no diners anymore.
I hate that.
And I was thinking if the folk singers would be singing today, they'd be singing, "Where have all the diners gone?"
That's true.
No, it's terrible.
Are there diners in? Do you remember in New York?
There's still diners in New York.
There are.
Yeah.
Okay, because but then there were these like hip diners. And do you remember the Empire?
Of course, on 9th.
Is that still there?
It's on, I think, 9th Avenue, 23rd.
Yeah, it's 9th and 20th. Exactly.
I know my
10th. I think it's 10th and 23rd.
10th and 23rd.
But yeah, the Empire. And you don't know New York, but the Empire Diner was I think it was sort of like it had the look of a subway car, but really done up and very black, and it would just like be all these fucking club kids at night. Everybody coming from clubs high on.
Oh yeah, we always did that after the comedy clubs. And Billy Joel actually has a line in one of his songs. He mentions the Empire.
Does he?
Yeah.
Was that
Great Wall of China?
Oh,
on one of the.
You think it would be on in New York State of Mind?
Yeah.
I'm in a New York state of mind. Ooh, some folks like to get away. Take a holiday from the neighborhood. Hop a flight to Miami Beach or Hollywood. But I ain't.
I'm taking an Uber instead of a Greyhound. Nobody's taking the. They got to get rid of those lyrics.
Maybe we shouldn't sing like that because it reminded me just for a second karaoke, and I hate karaoke.
I was thinking you were going to say, but rights, we could get sued for singing Billy Joel.
I don't
for
think
covering
so.
Billy Joel on our podcast. They might try to take some of our money.
Oh, really? Our money? Good luck with that. If you're coming after our money,
go see Matt Rasamoto, our producer. He's got all the money.
No, if you're coming after our money, I need you to tell me where it is. All right, Howard, let's ask you a question right off the bat. Before we got a couple of emails this week. One of them was and they were, you were a little privy. We read them to you. I don't think we're going to read them on the air, but we could talk about them. They were, one of them was so scathing. It was when Steve had written me something about millennials, and I asked Steve to read it, and he did, and we got such a scathing email about us attacking millennials, that millennials are living through the great collapse. And yes, I agree with that. Because I talk about I think I've talked about a lot. I say the great collapse is coming, and the writer of this email, Neil, I believe his name was, he was like, "Hey, fuck face," something, that was the tone of it. After calling us wankers and fuck faces, the whole email, he goes, "All right, look, maybe that was a little harsh."
right out of anger.
No,
and
but
pain.
I really like this guy, Neil. If you're watching, listening, or whatever, I really liked it, man, because we said after we read this that, holy shit, if people are passionate like this,
millennials will be fine if they're all like this guy.
But he attacks the millennials, Neil, by the way, Steve, not me. I don't really.
But
I just feel like people are asleep in general. And by the way, he called me and Steve. By the way, Howard, sorry you weren't part of this.
That's all right.
But I have a big political left wing streak. I just feel like so does Steve. I just feel like. They're just, like you just talked about the food court being replaced by expensive rent. They're fucking everybody. Rents. Do you rent here or do you?
Oh no, I rent. Yeah.
Isn't it like, I don't know where you are, but they keep raising the fight. They just keep pricing everybody out of everything, and it's sad. It's sad and so greedy. And I just the ecosystem fucking dying. So anyway, I'm always like, there's a great collapse coming, folks. And Neil, this gentleman, was saying that, hey, fucktard. He didn't use those words, but he was like, dipshits, whatever. we're in the great collapse. But, and there are people living that collapse. There are. I mean, by the way, I totally recommend everybody seeing Michael Moore's 11/9. I just watched that movie, and it was so fucking good. And someone was telling me they must have buried that movie. There were no major releases, of course, on Netflix, and now it's on Amazon Prime, which but Netflix didn't fucking release it. God forbid. They really called the Democratic Party out for the war. But anyway, Neil called us, and this was one of the most scathing lines: tourists to poverty, and that we grew up, able to inherit our parents' house. I have not inherited shit.
I don't know what Neil's talking about. I don't agree with anything Neil said, but
Anything?
Well, 90% of it was he doesn't know what he doesn't know us. I mean, he doesn't know
That's
what we
right. Yeah.
lived through.
I worked horrible jobs. By the way, Neil was talking about, well, how many hours do you fucking work? And you know what? I have dedicated my life to not working horrible jobs because I worked them for so many years, like sanding floors.
Oh, yeah, sanding floors.
I sanded floors in Staten Island. Could you sanded and installed them in the winter? Even like I would go into empty houses, and my boss and another worker, and we would go in and we would install hardwood fucking flooring in the winter.
How long did
and
you
then
do? How long?
sand them,
How
and
long?
I still have tinnitus. So I've been through the rigors of the working class, and yes, I got into comedy because I didn't want to do. I mean, well, first of all, I'm gifted, and Neil, you must see that. I'm gifted. I love the little muse, the little dancing gypsy in my head. No, but I mean, comedy was always what I wanted to do.
How long did you sand floors for? How many years did you?
Per house, we'd usually a couple hours each house. No, I did that shit for maybe 4 or 5 years. Got an incredibly big hernia out of it, which is like the gold watch of floor sanding.
Yeah, Neil's right in the sense that I didn't hold a job for more than 2 years at a time, but I would get another job until I couldn't do comedy. I wouldn't be able to keep a job because I'd be up at night doing stand-up, and I'd show up to the job late, or I'd show up half-assed, and they would fire me. So, I mean, when he's saying tourist poverty, I don't want to engage it too much because it's a pedantic conversation, but it's all relative. I mean, it was the life you have is the life that you have. I mean, we didn't have money and property to inherit.
His main point is that me and you do not fucking know what's going on. We don't know.
Well, then why is he listening to us?
Because he knows that our heart's in the right place. But I guess attacking it really. But anyway, I love the email because it was so fucking passionate, and I'm self-loathing. So anybody who tells me I'm a piece of shit, I'm like, thank you for that thank you for saying what I already know. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we don't know. What do you think about that comment that we don't really know what the fuck the hardships that are there? I mean, they are. I mean, they are living without much opportunity.
I certainly don't know what I don't know Neil.
Right.
I don't know what he's going through, but I like his attitude. And I think if he has that attitude, whether he's right or wrong, the attitude is the important thing. He's got fight in him. Because what triggered me to send you that email.
He does have fight in him.
Which that email I sent you was not meant for public consumption. It was just sent to you. And I don't know why I chose you to send it to, but but it was triggered by the fact that I walk around looking at people who are, I guess, a generation younger than me, as if they're robotic and they have no full range of human emotion. That's what's bothering me is the fact that how disconnected they are from a rage and sorrow. I mean, they just seem like C-3PO. All of them, just a fucking parade of C-3POs. That's why I wrote that. So,
what is the generation called that is very young now? Like in the movie 11/9, what was amazing were these kids from Parkland, that school that got shot up, and they really created a movement. And they were young, man. They were teenagers kicking ass, and I was like, holy shit, where are more of these guys? Like, wow, it was awesome. But anyway. Yeah, so that was the crux of that email that Yeah, and I understand that too. Like like having a podcast and talking about what people are. You don't really know what the fuck is going on out there in a real gritty fashion. In a real gritty fashion, in the real context. And maybe we should go.
Bukowski, by the way, who we supposedly fantasize about.
I'm not a big Bukowski fan.
But I am. But
Yeah.
Bukowski lived a middle class.
I like Bukowski, huh?
He lived a middle
Sounds like a Russian hockey player on the Washington Capitals. It's just, over to Bukowski.
Yeah, well, Nikolai
Borakowski.
Yeah.
So I don't know hockey enough, guys.
Yeah. But what were you going to
No,
say?
he lived a middle class. He grew up in Pasadena.
Oh, he did?
He had a middle class upbringing. They weren't rich, but they couldn't afford the good food. I mean, if you read Bukowski, you really get to know what he went through. They were poor people who were trying to be middle class, like the father was trying. But he always had a home to go back to. So maybe he was a tourist to poverty. Maybe we're all in the same. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
What I loved, what also Neil was like, what the fuck? It was about Dylan just not really being
Authentic.
He writing all these songs about freight train hopping, and meanwhile he's, I think he called them lower middle class, which is kind of what I was lower middle
Poor
class.
people who think they're middle class.
Dylan was middle class, wasn't he? Or-
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hibbing, Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm a little pissed at Dylan doing commercials. Like, did you see any of the Super Bowl ads? Why is Steve Carell? This still irks me.
He did the. He did
Budweiser.
No, I think didn't Dylan do the GM?
No, Budweiser. It was
Blowing in the wind. Was there
Blowing
another
in-
ad that he did?
Yeah, he did a GM. He did a GM, and I remember I had a joke saying, his lyrics are going to be the tires that they're going to need a change.
Yeah, I was similar. I said, boy, the times are changing. And on
The
Twitter,
tires are going to be
on Twitter, I was like, the times are changing, Bob. Get out of the way, buddy.
Yeah, he did. I think.
I don't know what he's doing. What is
He's
he-
telling you it's over by doing the commercial.
Maybe. I mean, and I have a couple of friends who are fucking huge Bob Dylan fans, and they are like, they will defend him to the death. Like, one of my friends is like, no, man, Dylan is fucking with everybody. Like, they won't believe that he's.
I got to perform at Gertie's Folk City in the Village. That's where Dylan started.
Oh, really?
It was
What year?
81, and you know who I did? I did it with Frank Conniff.
Oh,
Because I started with Frank.
I
in
love
New
Frank
York.
Conniff. And Sirius XM, you fucked up with Frank Conniff. Go ahead.
And one time he said, "Come on, we'll go down. We'll do an open mic at Gertie's Folk City." They had it on, and I said, we got to go on that. That's where Dylan started, and it was, that's like.
I love Frank. He has lines like, this is a Frank Conniff line. Oh, boy, Silver Lake. Silver Lake has a gelato-based economy.
Very funny guy.
Very funny guy.
So that was exciting in the Village back then.
Yeah, to be in. I performed, one of my first shows I ever did in New York was at the Bitter End.
We did it. They used to have comedy with Danny Vitale on Tuesday nights.
Maybe that's the show I did.
That was the show. He did
Danny
that.
Vitale. Oh, man. Howard is bringing back names. He's still around,
Yeah,
Danny Vitale.
I still communicate with him on
You do?
on Facebook and
I'll
People
never
one
forget.
of the funniest guys.
Yeah. I like Danny Vitale because he's a big self-sabotager too, right?
He was on Saturday Night Live and
For a heartbeat, right?
Yeah. One of the funniest.
One of the
comedians.
funniest guys, because I saw this guy, Danny Vitale, who is still around, and he doesn't know me, I'm sure, but I saw him in Catch a Rising Star back in the day, and he was so fucking funny, and he was talking about being on. HBO had a comedy special that they ran a bunch called New Faces or something, and he's like, yeah, he was on New Faces. Yeah, New Faces. I got veins coming out of my fucking, like shit. I just really connected with.
Yeah,
that
he
guy.
ran the show every Tuesday. It was the Bitter End. For 1 year, they called it the Other End, and then they
I think I remember that.
and then they switched it back to the Bitter End. And you know what the Bitter End is? That's where Woody started in '62.
Woody Guthrie.
No, Woody Allen. That was.
Oh shit!
And Neil Diamond got his first paid gig there. So those are
At the bitter end?
Yeah, at the bitter
Yeah,
end.
I knew when I was there, and it's still there,
It's
I
still
think,
there.
on Bleecker.
But there's no comedy there. It's just.
Oh, there's no comedy there.
No.
I'm kidding. But is it what kind of music? It's not still folk,
Yeah,
is it?
I think it's original, rock. If there is rock anymore, is there any? No, there's no more.
You're
rock.
asking the wrong guy. I don't know.
I used to be into heavy metal. Now I'm into light aluminum. Just.
I'm into light aluminum. Yeah. I remember when there were aluminum bats in
Oh, yeah.
baseball. You remember that shit?
Yeah.
In professional baseball?
Did it ever make the
No.
pros? I think for
No.
maybe a season.
No.
Yeah.
Or half. Yeah, season.
It did?
Right? Do
Yeah,
you
I
remember
think so.
that? I remember they used aluminum bats for maybe one season.
When? When? Give me
Oh,
some.
I don't know the fucking year.
Do you?
I know that. I
80s.
know with hockey sticks they went from wood to aluminum.
Do they still?
Yeah. No, I don't think nobody's using wood anymore.
Right now?
I don't think so.
No, they break all the time. They must be using wood. Aluminum wouldn't break, right?
No.
They're talking about going to aluminum foil hockey sticks. We just foil. Yeah. So I love the talk about I love the history of comedy, and also just getting back to Neil's email. So thanks for that email. It was good. You do have a bunch of things wrong about us, and we don't know much about you, but I get the point too. And he said, it's a wake up call, and I got that. Like,
It's good to have discourse too. I mean, this is discourse. We're supposed to have it. We champion it. We're always saying we need discourse. We need everybody's in their own echo chamber. So that's what his email is. It's discourse, and we can talk about it. He can email us back. And then we got the other email from from what our UFO guy.
Oh yeah, this was a good one. Yeah, this was another good one. This was from this is from Tim, and this was great. And it goes, there aren't so much corrections to points you made in your latest podcast as there are exceptions. So he says, first off, nothing lampooning the U.S. I was saying there isn't really. The movies we were talking about don't really lampoon the U.S. culture. And he said, au contraire. He was like, check out Sorry to Bother You, which I have not seen.
It's supposed to be great. I haven't seen it either, but every friend who's seen it says it's great.
It's about telemarketers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good. I got to see. That's the first thing I'm going to watch. And then Black Klansman, and I did like Black Klansman a lot.
And Get Out was also great. Have you seen that, Eddie? Have you guys seen it? Get Out?
I haven't seen Get Out.
Yeah, that was amazing.
fucking great.
Jordan Peele.
Peele, yeah.
Stan and Ollie was very good.
I loved
That was
Stan and Ollie.
unbelievable movie.
Right. It was a great movie.
And
It didn't lampoon U.S. culture, but
No.
it was a great movie.
Right. But we don't have, I guess our point was there are not as many as there were.
That's for sure. And
few
I want to
and
say,
far
Sorry to
between.
Bother You, though, sounds like the type of movie I would love.
We should see that.
Vice was also good. And then he also said this, which was very interesting, because I was pointing out that when you use military equipment in a movie, the Pentagon has to approve the script.
Oh.
Could you imagine? You know how it's bad enough that studio heads get involved in scripts, but you see General Franklin looking it over, going, "Where the fuck is the Ark in Act 2? There's no character. I don't believe these characters. I don't believe a goddamn word she's saying, because in a relationship, if you're not given a Valentine's gift, you're fucking pissed off. I almost had my balls stuffed down my throat by my wife." This is General Franklin. By the way, it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. Any special plans, gentlemen?
Howard?
The way you looked at
He's the
the
man.
way you.
I figured it.
Defer to me
No,
'cause
but-
I'm single and
He's
he's
single.
fucking married.
Oh, you're
He's got-
married.
He's got
married.
no Valentine's.
So funny.
You're doing something, I hope.
Oh, absolutely.
What are you doing? What are you guys doing?
We're going. Actually, my mother's in town from Canada, so from Toronto. So everybody's gonna.
It's his birthday, by the way. It was
When?
his birthday 2 days ago.
2 days.
Oh,
ago.
happy birthday, buddy. Oh, that's great.
I got a funny. It's funny. It popped up on Facebook. 3 years ago, I went to a jazz club, and Don Rickles was there on my birthday. And I said, Don,
I saw that. I saw that.
And he said, I said, Don, it's my birthday. He goes, well, what do you want me to do? Send a rocket in the air? Who cares? It's just, he's so funny.
I love that.
He's a
yeah.
wonderful guy. He was a wonderful
Mr.
guy.
Wonderful.
He was a wonderful.
I used to love the music he would come on to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking? It was like
dun, dun.
Da 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 da, like bullfighter music. I forget what it is.
Really?
Bum 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 bum. Yeah, it was the pomp was so overdone. It was hilarious. You know, me and my wife for Valentine's Day. Me and my wife were just gonna go. It's a tradition we do every Valentine's Day. We go zip lining in the Brazilian forest. Now, most of the Amazon has been cut down.
They go zip lining on Amazon, not in.
Oh, we go zip lining on Amazon. Yeah. No, you know what we do? We actually celebrated before, and I've already taken her out to dinner, and I got a couple of gifts that I got to wrap. But we celebrated before because you can't go out to dinner on fucking Valentine's Day because everybody is doing that shit. So we do it like the week of, do it before Valentine's Day.
Man, this is fucked up to say, but
what are you doing Valentine's
What are you
Day?
doing?
I'm so relieved that I don't have any.
I hear you.
It's one less thing to think about. There was a girl who did have a little thing with me, and we were gonna do, but then she stopped talking to me. So
that's so funny. That is
have
just a great way to talk about. Look, I was gonna do something with somebody who had a little thing for me, but then she stopped talking to me, so I'm free again for Valentine's.
Maybe that should bring us to our first ad.
Yeah, we do have to get to some ads. These are written by our illustrious producer Matt Rasamoto,
who's in the studio.
He's
with
in
us
the
today.
studio with us
Very
today.
rare appearance.
And look at this; it goes right into it. This is from Love Apathy, and they've been a great spot. Why don't you read this one?
Oh,
Steve?
I'm so excited. And
I
what
gotta
a
hear
great
this.
segue for a Valentine's Day gift.
It's
the
amazing.
Valentine's Day. This Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen, give yourself the gift of love with the only dating app built for realists. The good folks at Love Apathy have used advanced super science-based machine learning and artificial intelligence to unlock the secret behind marriages that last the test of time. And now, all that data is available for you, so you can hopefully get a pity sex style one-night stand with a stranger who has seemingly lost all semblance of hope, and yet is willing to continue looking deep into the emotionless abyss of long-term commitment. That sweet spot between hopelessness and faith, that's called true love. Download the Love Apathy app on your mobile device today, and by Valentine's Day night, you'll find yourself snuggled in the Venn diagram of love with someone who is absolutely indifferent to your feelings and mutually trapped between physical closing time and a complete loss of self-respect. Because eventually we all need someone to WebMD that welt on our collective circumcision scar. Who won't judge us or ask too many questions? Isn't that what love is? Love Apathy, the love app for realists.
Wow. That was
It's a
great.
beautiful.
That was really good.
beautiful. And what makes Love Apathy great? And thanks, Matt Rasamoto, for writing these real ads. What makes Love Apathy great is that they don't pull punches. You know, we live, and this is a problem. And I shouldn't say millennials. It's definitely not millennials. It's every fucking body. We live in a fantasy world. We live in a fantasy world. And Hollywood is so complicit in this fantasy world of like, oh, you know, romance, you know, the storybook romance shit. You know, oh, it's all going to be great, you know. They even romanticized cancer the way they did in Love Story. You know, it looked great to get cancer from that movie. You know what I mean?
They have a movie every year, about a dying teenage girl who just wants a boyfriend. I mean, that's a theatrical release. You're laughing, but those are movies that get theatrical release and millions of dollars.
A dying teenage girl who wants a boyfriend. Yeah. Oh,
I
man.
wish I was making that up.
I know. These are tough times.
It's bad.
Holy fuck. But Love Apathy, what I love about them is they don't like feed that, Hollywood bullshit.
My life and my success in relationships is all because of love apathy. My love apathy app helped me keep from getting laid after the accident. My love apathy app helped that girl get totally disconnect with me. It's been.
Hey, did we finish Tim? So here's what he said about. So the U.S. military. This is Tim's email. The U.S. military, the Pentagon has to approve the scripts. But he said the U.S. military actually severed ties with Marvel. He said I watch the Marvel movies. My wife is a big comic book person, so. And he points out that the U.S. military actually severed ties with Marvel during the first Avengers film because they didn't like how they were being depicted. And I don't know if those ties were ever mended, as the plot of Captain America, Winter Soldier has a U.S. intelligence/military agency declare Captain America a terrorist because he discovers a plot by them to murder millions of American citizens after using behavioral algorithms to preemptively declare them terrorists. So, yeah. But the one thing I was reading, there's a new Peter Jackson movie out about World War I. And my man, who I talk about all the time, Chris Hedges, talked about how it's a cartoon movie because these, and I think Marvel has to fall into this category for me too, is they depict war as just, kind of a there's no reality in it. Like, there's no reality of the incredible fucking degradation, suffering, horror. Yeah, just incredible horror. And Peter Jackson, I think the Lord of the Rings guy did. I forget what the name of this World War I movie is, but he said it's just a fucking bullshit movie again, not showing that war is a fucking horrific thing. And I think the Marvel movies, even though I get what Tim is saying here, kind of does that. Like, look at all that action,
Well, it's wrapped up in fantasy when it's Marvel or Transformers, and they got the Mountain Dew ads. So you got the Mountain Dew, the pimping the Mountain Dew.
Do they?
Oh yeah, you got all the.
You mean product
placement for the big corporate? You got all that. So
the only thing I like product placement in is wedding videos. Like when you that I enjoy. Like me and my wife had a big, for our wedding video, we just had a big thing of big canister of Roundup, the Monsanto pesticide in the middle of. What happened to Monsanto? You were talking about
you know what? I don't think that's real news, man. What I saw, I hate to say it.
Oh, it's bullshit?
It's bullshit. I mean, for what I could see, I searched it on Google.
Oh.
And it's.
So who put it out?
It was something that was, I'm glad I didn't retweet it. I'm glad because it was a suspicious. Yeah. It wasn't like a mainstream news site. And so I didn't, like our friend said, I'm too tired and I just don't have the patience.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I'm going to finish with Tim's email. He goes, now to UFO abductions. I've heard, but I'm too tired to verify, that most people claiming alien abduction are alcoholics. And that quote-unquote bright lights and quote-unquote passing out and fuzzy memories of non-consensual medical procedures could be someone interpreting the faint memories of a blackout after the fact. And our producer Matt, who drinks a lot, he was like, I disagree. He didn't agree.
Heavy drinker, by the way.
So, and then he says I should check out the Chapo Trap House. I did check it out a little bit, and it was okay. I have to check out more. I should be a guest on them. Yeah, well, I'm waiting for them to call me. They have a big following.
Really?
We're developing a following. But Howard, tell us about writing for Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, that was so when I moved to New York from Toronto. I took this comedy workshop.
With who?
Dick Lord.
Oh, okay.
He was Bobby Darin's opening, very close friend.
I remember Dick. I mean, now Howard's going to bring up a lot of, and this is great, just a lot of
old school names,
old school comics, man. Catskills. Would you call them Catskill comics?
Yeah, me and Charlie Chaplin, we did the open mic down in the Village. And
He didn't go over very well.
It took him a while.
No, and then they invented the microphone, and it was
You did open mic silent. That would be funny. Silent open
but
mic.
that would be funny, right? Charlie Chaplin doing the open mic silent circuit, right?
The open mic silent circuit. All right, kid, you got 5 minutes. Do just no fucking sound at all, baby. Tell a story with the beginning, middle, and end silently.
Anyway, so I took this comedy workshop because I came from Toronto. I had to leave. You know how people leave their country for political. I had to leave because the Leafs were terrible. I couldn't stand my team, and I just.
You made a big mistake coming to New York.
The guy at Custom goes, "Why are you coming to the United States?" I said, just to get away from the Toronto Maple. I can't take it anymore. They're never gonna. So, anyways, I took this workshop. And I got up and I started writing for him, this Dick Lord. And he said, you're a very good joke writer. Why don't you let me call Rodney? So he says, go to Dangerfields. And, I met him there. And what he does is you write the jokes on an envelope and you give it to him. Yeah. And he looks at him, and then he goes to Catch a Rising Star
and tries him
with a clipboard. And the one night I was there, he was doing, and he sits and he goes, he'll stand there with the clipboard, and he'll do the joke. One of the first jokes I gave him was, my father never liked me when I was a kid. When he took me hunting, he tied me to the fender and put the deer in the car.
That's good.
So he's up at Catch with the clipboard, and and then nope. So when it came to my joke, it got a laugh. So he checks it off. And then he sends you a check for $50.
Wow. Even though that makes me, you know what? I kind of don't like the fact that comics have writers, like some comics have writers. No, it's just because when you're watching Rodney, right?
He wrote most of his stuff.
He did. Okay,
he wrote about 90%.
Oh,
of his
great. That's cool.
90. But
see, that gives me, again, that's good. That's good.
But it was different. It was like when the Beatles came in, then everybody started writing their own stuff. Because before that, everybody had writers, like, the Gershwins, Sinatra's, Tony Bennett. So as soon as when the Beatles came in, that was it. Everybody started writing their own stuff. So all the writers were. So it's similar to that, and that's the same thing with. But Rodney wrote probably 95%.
Oh, that's cool, because I went on a Rodney Dangerfield binge on YouTube the other day.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. You just fucking watch.
Yeah, Cat never needed writers. Cat
who
hired us.
Who are we talking about?
Cat Williams,
they don't know what you're talking about.
Cat Williams, who I wrote for, he hired writers. But he never used anything we wrote for him.
Is that right?
Absolutely. He just wanted to pay us and help his friends and people he thought were funny.
Very
but
nice.
He did have us punch up scripts and do other things, write sketches and for him and stuff. But he never used any joke.
Right.
The closest I came to getting him a joke was getting the vaporizer. I got him. So I interacted with him on this level, and then he used that bit in his comedy. My white friends introduced me to the vaporizer, and that was me. But I never.
My white friends introduced me to the vaporizer is a funny line.
Right.
But I think what happened, like when Brenner started, that's when everybody started doing their own material. Probably Robert Klein.
I love Robert Klein.
Oh, there's the best. And Robert Klein was hanging out with Rodney.
Is that right?
Yeah, they were best friends at the Improv.
I didn't know that.
Tell
at the Improv.
Tell him about Lenny Bruce and Rodney and the
Joe
Joe
Ancis from Lenny. That was Lenny. Joe Ancis was Lenny Bruce's best friend, and Lenny got all the stuff from Joe, but Joe.
Let me talk to these people for a second. You fucking idiots! I know what you're thinking. Who are these people? You. God damn. Don't make me have Neil write you an email. All right? You better know these fucking names, okay? Because I got a guy who will write you an email that will make you feel like a piece of shit. And then at the end it goes, sorry.
I was in an emotional state.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, so Joe Ancis, Lenny Bruce. You should know these people is what I'm saying. Go ahead. Joe Ancis.
No. So he was Lenny Bruce's best friend. They hung out together in Brooklyn.
Right.
And Lenny got a lot of his ideas from Joe. Joe just never wanted to do stand-up. And he would hang out and, not everything. But.
Well, one thing I definitely know is true, being a comic, is that you have to be hanging around with other comics, to riff up jokes and to get jokes. I mean, it's so hard when I am, and I think this goes for most comics, you tell me, where you're sitting and trying to come up with shit that's funny, it just is one of the most painful. But when you're hanging with your buddies, comedian buddies, and you're fucking throwing things back and forth, that's how I get shit.
Well, they don't have to be comedians for me. I have friends like
funny dentists are good.
Yeah, funny insurance salesmen.
Some guys are funnier than, they're just hysterical, but they never became comics. They're just hysterical.
Well, they were the smart ones. Look at us. We're broken people. Look at us. You think this is easy? It is, in a way. And then it's horrible in another way. I mean, you know what's wild about the economy now? Like, everybody calls it a gig economy now, and that nobody has job security anymore. And I'm like, welcome to the fucking club. I mean, that's the life of a comic.
Yeah.
It's like, unless you hit it really big. Rodney, what I really liked and what was inspiring about Rodney was he made it later in life, right?
Oh, yeah. The first time I met him, he came up, he said to me, "Do your parents approve of you doing this?" Just like typical Jewish, right?
Was he being serious?
Yeah, he was serious.
How old were you back then?
25.
Oh, okay.
But isn't
That's
that
funny?
I mean, you
that's
think
so.
Do your parents approve of you doing this? Go back into the garment business, and that's right.
Howard, could you tell Eddie the Kinnison story? The Kinnison.
Oh, yeah, at Dangerfields. Rodney always loved he liked the youth. He was always promoting other comics. He was
Me too.
But he was amazing. So, Kinnison came to Dangerfields for the first time, and they put him on, and the whole audience walked out.
The whole audience?
The whole audience. And this
Wow.
and then like 6 months later, he brought him back for that special.
Oh.
And he became famous from that. But I was
Did
there.
Rodney launch Kinnison in a way?
I think he saw him at the Comedy Store.
Right, he would play at the Comedy Store.
I think he saw. But I remember the night everybody got up and the whole, and then people.
250 people.
Then they left, and he couldn't believe that he was coming back for that, that famous special, the first Rodney special.
What do you call him again?
Young Comedians.
The Young Comedians.
HBO.
Oh,
And he
that's what Dan Vitale was talking
Yeah,
about.
and he was on the first one, and then he became, and that was it. And that, the thing with the sand was a classic.
But could you imagine 250 people get up and then you're in that
well,
club again?
because they didn't relate to him, I guess, and there was something.
Well,
that
was
the beginning of the that was just before Dice, I think. Yeah, he was the first. Dice was the next year, I think.
Is that right?
For the next special, I think.
It's when comedy changed from like one-liners to like
It got edgier.
Edgier, and it was more about what you're feeling, and going through, which is what I do.
That's what.
It's true.
That's true. What you do.
That is true.
I just am like, I get on that stage.
Oh, I saw you at the Comedy Store. It was just.
You did.
I was unbelievable, and you
really was it good?
No, because what amazes me, everything is no like.
He said he did the bit. Do you remember? You don't even remember the material you do. He did the bit about he goes, my wife, I have terrible road rage, but my wife is worse. And my wife gave a car full of people the finger. I said, honey, if you're going to give the finger, give it to the elderly. I meet people older than we are.
Yeah.
And you just get up there and that's.
I do when it's when I'm feeling good, Yeah, thank you.
You're like a jazz musician. You go up and solo.
I like to do that.
No, but that's
a matter of fact, I'm freaking out about this special that I'm taping this Saturday. By the way, I'm taping a special. It's almost sold out, both shows, which is
wow.
it's
fun. That's fun.
It's a testament to me. Fucking, what do you want? But I freak out at specials. Taping it this Saturday, February 16th at the Dynasty Typewriter Hayworth Theater here in L.A. Shows 8 and 10 o'clock because I feel like I have to have more structure to it because it's being filmed and taped, and that makes me a little crazy because that's not my style, you know. But I think I know what to do. I just have things, you know, that I can go into, and I'll just fucking play. You know, the crowd should be really good, you know, and it should be fun. But yeah, jazz musician. Wasn't Lenny Bruce kind of?
Yeah, he was into the jazz.
Well, he was. Was he a musician, a drummer? I thought I remember something like that.
I don't think so.
No.
He did play the Village Vanguard with a trio.
Oh, there you go.
So they in those days they would have like a trio.
I've
Like
hung out.
he would never do like a show with comics. He would have like a jazz trio. Then he would go on and do like an hour.
They say you're funny if you make the band laugh.
Yeah,
Like that's an
that-
old comedy
that's
saying.
an old comedy.
And yeah, and he started kind of being an MC at stripper clubs, right?
Right.
That kind of thing.
And
Lenny?
I think Hefner gave him his first gig. Hugh Hefner, something like that.
Yeah.
Discovered him and put him
Hugh
in.
Hefner.
Yeah. Gave him, produced him. But
Hefner was a funny man. I'm kidding. I have no idea. Anyway, yeah. So I just loved the old New York. By the way, Village Vanguard Jazz Club.
That was my
I
first
went
place.
there.
That was my first place I went when I went to New York for the first time.
Is it gone?
Still there.
I love that. I got to go back because it's a
19
great club.
1935.
1935 it started. It's such a great club because it's so intimate. The ceilings
Oh,
are
it's
low. And
That's the thing about those clubs in New York where you have to go down the steps.
Yes.
That's why the Comedy Cellar, right?
Yeah.
So the Village
Comedy Cell is great for comedy too. I mean, you know,
You
comedy-
got to go down the steps.
You got to go down the steps
You have to go down the steps and feel that pain, right?
and feel the pain. And don't worry if you have bad wheels. There's ramps. All right. Well, now this is time. By the way, folks, we did not, after a tremendous week last week of getting calls, we didn't get any calls from anybody. And last week we had a slew of great calls, and this week nada. So if you guys have a comment for the show, call the number 424-262-0904. 424-262-0904. Last week we even had a call from a marsupial who wasn't capable of empathy, and we're going to try to have him back since I know the marsupial who did that call. So call in. We had nothing this week. We have another ad or two to read, and I'll read this one. This is here we go. Laffy Taffy. Wonka, the makers of Laffy Taffy, and I really appreciate this sponsor. You know, they're just good. They're good people, and their offices are just great. Their offices are beautiful. And it's a true corporate office, hip corporate office, faux hip corporate office where the dogs have bandanas. There's ping pong tables. There's a great refrigerator.
the latte. They have the latte station.
They have a latte station. Yet they're doing stuff for ExxonMobil. Okay, here it is. And we'd like to thank Matt Rasamoto, who is here today with his dog Simon. And what a great dog Simon is. We'll post a picture of him with this podcast later. Wonka, the makers of Laffy Taffy, bring you the world's most delicious Band-Aids. Now, isn't that great, folks? Let's face it, kids love to bleed. It's true. They are always falling off things and jumping into ceiling fans. Kids also love sweets, and sometimes type 2 diabetes needs a little push. Now with Wonka Band-Aids, when little Timmy does the Bird Box challenge with the lawnmower, he'll be able to literally lick his wounds and love it. Now let me tell you something. First of all, this is such a great company that they're on top of things that are going on in our culture, like the Bird Box challenge. Do you know anything about the Bird Box?
Relevant culturally.
Well, the Bird Box challenge, you know, it's a movie, The Bird Box, about
I've
people
heard
who
it,
are blindfolded.
Right.
Right? And so the Bird Box challenge is you're trying to do things with a blindfold on, and it's just a terrific company. So let's keep going. So that when they'll be able to literally lick his wounds and love it. When little Mackenzie gets her first period, Wonka will be there. I don't know anything about girl stuff, but I'm pretty sure you can fix anything with enough fruit-flavored Band-Aids. It sounds like science to me. Wonka Band-Aids come in flavors kids love, like clotted cherry. hemo strawberry, wounded watermelon, eurythmic orange, weeping pustule berry, gangrenous grape. We all know children spend most of their time trying to prove Darwin wrong. So buy some Band-Aids already, you clumsy idiots.
Thank you. And I want to say we rehearse these commercials, which are all written by Matt Rasamoto, our producer, but the real ads, and we always read over them. And I read that ad in the rehearsal, and I read it so poorly that Eddie was the one who delivered it to you, and I think he did a fine job of going through those pustules.
Thank you. Matt, do we have the rest of the Chatsworth ad?
Yes, should all be there.
It's a work in progress, folks. The whole podcast.
Okay, what I have, let's see. Maybe I have to go. Sorry, folks. We are, anyway.
Sometimes we do this stuff on the fly. Here he
Give it to
comes. This
Steve.
is
Oh, there
it is.
Matt
Steve, you
Rasamoto, our
Steve,
producer.
you read our, there's Matt.
His first appearance on the show.
Is this the first appearance? He does not want to be seen.
No, he doesn't.
Matt is part of the witness. Oh, and there's Simon. Let's.
Oh, here they come.
Oh, look at Simon. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Oh, Simon knows I'm a vegan.
Yeah.
Hi, Simon.
Our ratings just went up now that we have an animal
Hi.
on the show.
Yeah, right. Everybody's like across the country going, you
Now
gotta see.
now you're gonna get phone calls.
Yeah.
You gotta see this podcast. It's got everything. Anti-authoritarian. They get picked apart in emails, and they have beautiful dogs. Hello, baby. What breed is Simon again?
Shorty.
He's a Shorkie, which is a combination of a Yorkie and a Shih Tzu. Aw, you little mongrel. Look at you. All right. You better get him. He'll pull focus.
Yeah, we're getting upstaged by a dog.
Stevie, so we have one more ad left. You read it.
Start your acting career with Chatsworth Actors Guild. My favorite personal sponsor of the show, not to insult the other sponsors of the show, but Chatsworth, get your CAG card. We know you filthy millennials.
Your
love
SAG card, right?
CAG.
Oh, CAG.
Chatsworth Actors Guild.
Sorry.
Your CAG
I'm
card.
fucking up the ad.
He knows what he's doing. It was an accident, Chatsworth Actors Guild. He knows.
Sorry.
We know you filthy millennials love social media, and Chatsworth Actors Guild is now stooping to your level with a social media annex. With YouTube, Instagram, TV, Facebook, Ovision, and all the many ways you can show the world how well you can launch a ping pong ball or unwrap a Starkist with your anus. All the things kids love. With the guidance of CAG, Chatsworth Actors Guild, you can really hone your craft with our team of acting veterans. Our staff here have over... Our staff here have over 30 years of professional clitoral origami experience, and when it comes to stretching your anus around a GoPro, nowhere will you find a more dedicated team. Matt, I'm going to need you to scroll this fucker down. Yeah, I don't know what. So come on down to the abandoned Chipotle on 7th and Highland. Crawl under the overturned dumpster. Rummage around in the dark. When you find it, put your wallet into the provided Cupid doll head and hide it in a pile of wet ash. If accepted, in 14 to 16 weeks, a 1992 Ford Bronco will arrive at your house. And as soon as our instructors pull you inside the back, your face will be all over the media. Chatsworth Actors Guild is passionate about their students, so enroll today. Get your CAG card.
That's good stuff,
That's
right?
very, very good. He
How-
did a great job.
Thank you, Howard.
Oh, yeah,
This-
Steve.
this is
Steve is
Mr.
an old pro.
Yeah. Well, I got my CAG card back in 98.
You did.
Oh, yeah.
So Howard, so you worked with Rodney, and we were talking about some of the other comics. That there's a great book too about the history of comedy, Comedians, Drunk Thieves, and Scoundrels. It's really good if anyone wants to.
And there's another one, The Last Laugh by Phil Berger.
I read the Phil Berger book. Yeah, that was
that's
good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. I like this one
I
better.
didn't read this. Yeah.
You'll love it. But they were talking about Jack Carter, another old school comic. You know, who was some of the guys you
I wrote
worked-
for Dick Capri.
Dick Capri is
He's very
I really
funny.
like him because a lot of I was the younger generation then. Yes,
But he
I
opened,
was younger.
He opened for Engelbert, Tom Jones, I think, and Shirley Bassett.
Humperdinck, funny man,
Shirley
underrated
Bassett.
comedy.
Yeah.
Shirley Bassett.
See, those guys were opening for singers.
They were opening for
They,
singers.
they, they did very well.
Yeah.
And when we were in the clubs, like in Catch or
Mm-hmm,
Dangerfields, we didn't know, like, these guys were they were doing the Mountains and they were opening for singers and they were doing very well. And
They had money.
They had a great career.
Yeah. I would like to open for some old schools.
But
That'd be great if I could open for.
Now they have bands opening for bands.
I know.
If you could open for Mort Saul, that would be great.
Well, he's not. He's an old time comic. Did you ever
I
meet
met
him?
Yeah.
I met him recently, not too long ago, taping something for UK TV, Skynet or something. It was called Set List, a really funny idea and great show created by Troy Conrad, Paul Provenza, and
He's got the
he
great...
was on it, Mort Saul, and he's a legend, and he's like 80 something.
No,
now.
he's 90. I think 91.
I told, and I say this, I've said this before, but I am, before I get out of the business, I am giving myself till 80 to make it in comedy, and then I'll teach. But Mort Saul, like, he's still hanging in there.
He's got my favorite joke. He goes, "This album was so hip. Every time you played it, the solo was different."
That's an awesome.
That's a hip.
Hip reference.
The solo was different.
He was sort of one of the pioneers, Mort Saul, along with Lenny and
He was
Gregory
big time.
and all those guys.
Rip Taylor.
Red Fox.
I'm just kidding.
Was the epicenter New York City at that point?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My favorite all-time comedian, though, and it's a close call between him and George Carlin, is Richard Pryor. He's my
It's unbelievable.
favorite all-time. And I play the Comedy Store a bunch, and when I'm at the Comedy Store, it's always wild to think about who has been on that stage, and it's amazing,
The story about Pryor that Ronaldo Ray told me was that Paul Mooney was his writer. Paul Mooney, you remember him?
Oh, yes.
And Pryor was so bombed on stage that Mooney would write down what he was saying, and then when he sobered up the next day, Mooney would go to him and go, "This is really funny. You should say this."
He was the transcriber.
No, he was hustling him. He was taking the notes and
Oh,
then
my
going
God. Is
to
that
him
true?
because he knew he would black out and not remember anything. And he would take the notes and go to him and sell him the material, not knowing he had said it the night before. Those guys had an interesting relationship.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So they had a show, was Catskills on Broadway. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I do. Dick Lord Capri was in it?
I think Freddie Roman. Dick Capri. I think, I forget who the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember that show.
So he did a couple of my jokes.
Oh, he did? That's
on
awesome.
Broadway, so I could say some of my jokes were on
Yes,
Broadway.
of course.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Willie Loman was based on me. Death of a Salesman. Just me tracing around Brooklyn going. Please buy this thing from me. Can I use your toilet?
What did Willie Loman sell? What was his?
Well, I did a bit about the fact that because it's never mentioned in the play, I believe it's never mentioned what Willie Loman sold. And by the way, I know a lot of you fucking people are like, why are they talking about Willie Loman? Who the fuck is Willie Loman? Death of a Salesman, how is that relevant? I'm so disgusted with you. But so I did a bit on Willie Loman. He comes out and it's like the beginning of Death of a Salesman, which I saw on Broadway with Dustin Hoffman.
How was that?
No, I saw it on Broadway. I saw fucking. No, it was with fucking Brian Dennehy as Willie, and John Malkovich was as one of the sons. By the way, I see John Malkovich now doing commercials, and I'm just like, oh, Malkovich, you dipshit.
Did you ever see Woody Allen play jazz?
No, I never ever did.
Because I used to live across the street from Michael's Pub on 55th and 3rd, and you would see him.
Is he still doing it?
I think he does it somewhere else, but he would come out of the cab with the clarinet.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, that's
New York.
right. Can you imagine? Here's this big
Yeah.
star, and he pulls, and then he's. So I used to go in, and I actually, so I got to talk to him.
You ever see him? No. You ever see Bobby Short at the Carlisle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was famous.
No, I know. I mean, Alan put him in a bunch of his movies.
Yeah.
Great pianist who played the Carlisle Hotel. I never saw that either.
Who was he in the Woody movies? Where
He was a piano player at the Carlisle. He was in Manhattan. Probably a couple of others that I can't remember. Hunter and his sisters.
Oh, he was
maybe.
there for years.
I think it was Hunter and his sisters as well. Awesome shit. But Howard, I want to thank you for coming on.
Oh,
We've
been a
reached the
pleasure.
end of our hour.
It was a good show.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Neil, for the email. Thank you, Tim, for the email. You could email me at epepitone at sbcglobal.net. Pepitone, Epepitone at sbcglobal.net. Rate us on iTunes, you morons. Subscribe on YouTube and like us on SoundCloud. When you like us, write a review, post a comment, or remember to add pep talks to your prayers. All right? When we collect, we get a gold star when you add us to your prayers. When we collect enough gold stars, we get a scratch and sniff sticker. With enough stickers, we get to stick our hand in the teacher's drawer for 3 seconds. Last week, I got a yo-yo. Steven got a pencil sharpener shaped like teeth. It was pretty awesome. To prove that we care, here are a few shout-outs to our friends. Sam Ordorf on YouTube says, quote, as a geography master's student, I can say Eddie knows his geography, and he is right on about empire. That's right, that guy did say it. Therapeutic and unlike every other podcast by Mike. 5 stars he rated us on iTunes. I know I don't have to write a review, but it's nice. This podcast speaks the truth. I enjoy this podcast for the friendship between its two hosts, its insight to Eddie's mind, and how it makes me feel a little less crazy and a little less lonely. So why can't you people write that
Was
stuff?
that a real review? That was great.
That was, right, Matt? That was, yeah.
that
Both
was
of them were.
Yeah, that was
Our engineers are Emma Erdbrink and Aaron Brungardt, who's here today, and producer Matt Rasamoto, who writes the ads. Leave a message for us at 424-262-0904. Email me at the aforementioned address, epepitone at sbcglobal.net. Facebook me, facebook.me/Pepitone fans, and YouTube, pepitonepodcast.com. Howard, anything you want to promo or leave the kids with?
I'll be performing in Laughlin April 6th at the Avi Casino.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I find casinos scary,
Really?
Well, I performed at a casino once or twice, and both times they hated me, because I was calling them gambling addicts.
Did you ever perform at a nudist resort? I have.
You have?
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that next podcast.
Now, you had a great show at the Culver City
Yeah, the Culver
Comedy
City
Club.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Go down to Culver City. They're there every week.
You're going to
on
be there every
Tuesdays.
other week?
Every other week.
Something like
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Any other shows you want to promo or anything?
No, I'll be sleeping in tomorrow. It's going to rain. So if you want to catch me.
And I'm taping my special this Saturday. I'm going to Chicago. I'll be at the Lincoln Lodge. Google Lincoln Lodge in Chicago. I'm going to be there February 22nd and 23rd. I'm going to be in the Moon Tower Comedy Festival. I believe it's April 25th, but look up the schedule of Moon Tower. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival. All right, Howard, again, thank you so much.
Thank
Steve,
you.
thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Pep Talks, everybody.